Last episode, we built a big factory to convert gravel into sand, clay, and flint, and expanded the tiny mining train's rail to build a small warehouse inside the mountain. This time, we start off with a dodgy voice because we're still recovering from being ill, but by the end, we're absolutely fine. But we build a big cliff, we build a big warehouse, and we build our very first monorail. And as you may be aware, it's been a pretty rough week for me. I've spent the last 5 days pretty much in bed not being able to talk. I've been very, very ill. But I started to feel a bit better yesterday, and today, I think I'm well enough to start recording again. And for me, 5 days without recording is just unheard of. It's been horrible. But just because I've not been very well for the last few days doesn't mean I haven't been busy on the world here. Which, yes, was basically just working on the rail, but look at this shiny new bridge we've got. Doesn't that look wonderful? It's about time we had something here. So Beardstone Valley's actually just in that mountain there. This is the sort of very first area where we needed a bridge, and, well, it's quite nice I actually finally got around to doing it, let's be honest. Although I haven't done that tunnel there yet, but we can ignore that. But other than that, I've just been sorting out some tunnel entrances. We've been sorting out the rail, adding in a little bit of grass and some coarse dirt and different types of gravel, just to mess up the actual track bed itself a little bit. I've also sorted out a bunch of the trackside terrain, made things all look a little bit nicer. We planted some trees, we mixed in some other blocks, and I also got as far as blocking out the second bridge we need on the railway line over here. But yeah, as you can see, this still needs a lot of work, so we're just going to skip over that. So if we look at our world map, the rail line all the way from the logging camp down here to this area here is now complete, apart from a little bit of detail on this bridge here. And from the other side, I have actually sorted out the rail all the way through, the tunnels, all the way up to this part here. So we've probably still got about half the track to do, but we're certainly a lot closer to being done than we were. And over here, we can see our industrial area looking good and working nicely. But what you won't see is any more village. I've completely removed it. But it was needed, it's fine. We've still got the villagers, they're having a wonderful time down there. But this area down here is where we're going to be building a great big warehouse today. We're going to need to extend the track. We're probably going to have it go into the mountain and underneath, and that's where it's going to collect everything up from, and then we'll loop it back to connect back onto here. But I think as a basis to work from, this is starting to look pretty good. But I'm afraid you lot are going to need to be moved. So we're probably going to hide you inside a cliff somewhere for now. And yeah, we do have this big tunnel here, which does have a purpose. We'll get to that later. So for safety reasons, I think I'm going to move you lots somewhere else. I might just hide you inside the cliff for now, because I'm probably going to need this space. In fact, I'm definitely going to need this space because we have a tunnel behind here. And this, if we go in here, we can see connects all the way up to the back of the storage area we built last time. So we're going to need a few basic carts just running up and down here, taking stuff from that storage area down to the main warehouse. So you lot, what to do with you? You see, now part of me is kind of curious to know what happens if I just let them free. Are they going to go up here and start working? Are they going to grab a little place to work from? I don't really know. I suppose the first test is to see if those other 2 villagers that were wandering around up here are still wandering around up here, or if they've disappeared somewhere. Oh, hello, here's one of them. One of them seems to have taken a job in the scoria factory. That's good. Keep up the good work, buddy. The problem is, after a bit of searching around, I cannot find the other guy, which means it's probably not safe to let them loose yet at all. So for now, I think what I'm gonna do is make a bunch of beds, stick them up here, and hope that they make their way over this side, and then we'll just box them in another pen for now. Still kind of curious to see where they're gonna wander though, so let's give them a little bit of freedom. That's it. Go on, guards. You lead the way. Lead them to safety. Look, Emerson, don't talk to me. Go find a job. Well, they don't seem keen in wandering away too far from here, so that's probably not a bad thing. Let's just hope they don't get hit by trains when they do eventually move. Now, I just need to find some sheep so we can make some beds and try and at least keep a couple of these villagers alive. But my theory is, as long as at least 2 survive, we can always make more. I'm the best employer ever. Oh, I've got 31 wool. That should be enough. Hello, what's this? Is this a spawner? It is a skeleton spawner. Hey, buddy. Well, we might have to add this to our mob farm later. So let's just stick a bunch of beds up here, fence it all in again. They love the pen. And give them a way to get in. I should probably put a few torches down here as well. Oh, do I only have one? Well, that's unfortunate. 1 torch is all you get. But hopefully next time it starts to get dark, they're going to make their way up there. That should help out quite nicely. And you, sir, walking on the rail tracks, that is not going to pan out for you in the long run. Right, now, with the villagers having potentially somewhere to go to be safe, I think what I need to do is start marking out this big old warehouse we're going to be putting here. Because I think it makes sense to get the warehouse in first, and then from that we can work out exactly where the train tunnel needs to go and how that's all going to connect up, and of course how it's going to connect up from the top. And that means I need to grab myself loads of stuff. And I think what I want to do down here is potentially have a few sort of different warehouse buildings. So we'll have one area where it actually all just gets dropped off and where things get initially put, and then we'll just have a couple of extra storage buildings. I think that's the route I want to go. And with that in mind, it's going to make sense to mark out where a few of the buildings are going to go. So we'll have a big old building there. We'll maybe have a smaller one over here. And then we're going to need to put a path of some kind that goes up here. So we'll probably just use this as outdoor storage. This is where the trains are going to need to come in and drop stuff off. So I think it's just going to be these two buildings here. But before I go any further, there's a few things I need to consider, because we are, of course, producing a bunch of the core resources at the moment. But by the time this place is done, we're going to be producing maybe like 25, 30 different things over here. And that means there's a whole bunch of stuff we're going to be transporting back to our main base. So I kind of need two sections here. And what I want to do is have one area where everything that gets produced just gets dumped into big vaults, is unsorted, and that's the stuff that just gets loaded onto the train and taken home. And then when stuff gets home, it can be sorted there. But then a lot of the stuff we're producing, I'm going to want to bring down to this storage area here, but then some of it's going to get sent off to different factories. So maybe I should make a list of exactly everything we're going to be producing over here, and then work out what building it's going to be living in. I think it's time I grabbed a clipboard and populate it with all the things I know, which is, well, these are the things I know I'm definitely going to be making over here. There may end up being more, and the things I've put a tick next to are the kind of final stage, as in all the things with a tick I don't intend on processing any further. So they can live in one particular warehouse, which is, I guess, the mixed vault. But everything else in this list that doesn't have a tick next to it is going to be stored in individual vaults, because some of those things are going to be pulled off into different factories and processed even further. So all of these things will go into one building, and the things that don't have a tick will be sorted out and come into this building as well. Does that make sense? I don't know. But now we know what's going in each warehouse, maybe we can start coming up with a design here. And I think I'm going to use probably a combination of dark oak and maybe like stone and tuff and so on for the walls here. We've got a lot of red and orange going on at the top there, and I want to kind of side away from that down this side. So let's just start placing some blocks and see what happens. So I'm thinking maybe a palette along these lines, fairly straightforward. We've just got the sort of the metallic effect down the bottom here. We'll have the roof coming up from this side, although I don't know what I'm going to make that out of yet. But I do like the look of the sort of corrugated metal walls that we're getting from this. And combined with the stripped dark oak, I think this should work quite nicely. And what I'll probably also do is add in a little bit of sort of texture and damp patches and things like that, because we can use the stone and the andesite pillars as well, just to add a little bit of variation, which if we do it right, could end up looking quite good. We could even make the building look a little bit shoddy by just putting in sort of patches, I guess, because then it's going to look like they're literal patch-up jobs on the building. In fact, I've got an even better idea. If we were to add these patches as trapdoors, we can literally make it look like stuff has been stuck on the outside of the building here just to cover up some holes. Yeah, I think if we mess around with different texturing effects here, we could get this looking pretty good. And then something else I want to do is have a kind of loading yard platform type thing here. So maybe something like this. And then we can use this to connect the two buildings together as well, if we just fill in the rest of this floor quickly. So something like that, maybe? I don't know. We'll see how we go. But at the moment, I can feel my voice starting to go, so this seems like the perfect time for me just to focus on doing some building and giving you a beardy montage. That's enough of that. We have a warehouse. Look at this beauty. It is, of course, completely empty at the moment, but we've got plenty of space to be working with. I think this should work quite nicely. But before we do any more on the warehouse itself, I think it makes a bit more sense for me to work out the transportation system. Because we have 7 resources up the top there that we need to bring down here. And instead of using belts or trains, we're going to mix it up a little bit. I have an idea which may work, and it should enable us to get this stuff down the bottom there with a little bit more style than usual. But for that, we need to head back to Beardstone Valley and make ourselves some monorail. Now, the question is, how do we actually make monorail? Where is my monorail? Why is it not showing any monorail?
Have you tried turning it off and on again?
One cheeky restart later, and now we can see how to make it. So, we need metal brackets, okay, and iron sheets, and a squishy. Okay, this should be fairly doable. Oh, and we need girders. Lots and lots of girders. So let's go make a bunch of components, and then we should just be able to use our track-making machine we already have, which is 2 pokers and a presser, so that should work. So we need a bunch of girders, a bunch of brackets, and a bunch of iron sheets. So let's remove this box. Just stick a barrel there. Let's clean up all of this. We don't need this here. And for this one, I don't think we need the saw either. Stick that back in there. And what was the order? Brackets, then sheets. So if we put the brackets in here, sheets in here, and the girders in here, that should make monorail. Look at that. And we get 6 at a time as well. Oh, we're going to have loads of the stuff. Let's just quickly wait for that to build up a bit. Well, I have an extortionate amount of monorail. I certainly don't need that much, but that should keep us going for a while. Now I need to grab a few other bits and bobs. Because at the end of the day, a monorail is basically just a train. So we still need all the train components. And that's pretty much it for the basics. Now let's head back and see if we can figure this out. Oh, this is going to be fun getting on this, isn't it? There's a creeper right there. Nope, he saw me. And now he's despawned. Lovely. Right, let's head off. Now, the first thing I want to do is figure out how the monorail's going to connect down here, because I think what I was originally going to do was have everything come down and then split into 2 areas. But I think what I might do instead is have the monorail come into this warehouse, go back up, and then go into that warehouse. So with that in mind, let's figure out where this monorail's gonna go. So I think we want it sort of going into the roof somewhere around there, I guess. So I think if we have a connection here, which will link up to this bit, is that gonna work? Oh, no, we need to go over another block. So if we put that piece there, just connect that to the roof up here for now. Somewhere like that. And it looks like we might need to lower the floor of the tunnel a tiny bit if we're going to have things hanging down here. But we'll tackle that shortly. For now, let's get this connected over to here, like that. I don't know, I feel like there's not enough height there. Maybe I should raise it up a little bit further. So maybe let's just raise it by a block and then connect that to about there somewhere. Then we'll bring that all the way up to there. We'll bring it round the corner here. And then we'll just run this all the way to the top. In fact, we'll just stick it about here for now, because I don't actually know what I'm going to be doing at the top there yet. And when it comes to the transport on here, what I actually want to do is make another one of... Where's that little train gone? It should be around here somewhere. It must be inside the mountain. Oh, here it comes. But what I want to do is essentially have hanging versions of these minecarts here. So I'm probably going to do them at a similar size, which means they're, what, 1, 2, 3, probably 4 blocks tall? How much clearance have we got below this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, that should work. So in theory, that means the bottom of them is going to be around here somewhere. But we are definitely going to need to lower the floor of that tunnel over there. I don't know how that's all going to tie up on the inside there yet, but let's get this one in over here as well first. Should be able to get that linked up to there. And we'll just bring that track into here as well. That should be fine. So what I want to do is build one of these carts. And I think the easiest way for me to do that is actually going to be just to stick another random bit of track over here, and then we can move it onto the right place afterwards. So let's just stick in a random temporary bit of rail here, add a station, and create a new train. Let's see how this goes. So as always, we're going to need one of those. Oh, that looks cool. I already just love the way that connects. So what we need to do for this, of course, is to put in an engine. And I think for the engine to work, I might be able to just hide it in another one of these dangling carts. I don't know. Let's give it a go. So the cart itself should be fairly easy. We just need 3 blocks like that. Then we'll get some of these vertical bits in. Framed panels to build up the sides. And then we should, hopefully, be able to get a seat and some controls in there. And because we want this thing to be able to go in both directions, we should make sure we're doing that. And then a couple of chains in here should hopefully finish it off. I think that's going to work quite nicely. And with this one being the train engine, it means we should just be able to add a few more on the back here and we should be okay. So if we were to put another one there and one more there, having 3 of these going around I think will be more than enough, and that should give us plenty of storage. Although it would help if I put them on upside down, so let's try that again. And these ones are going to be slightly different because what we actually need to do, if I get rid of those, is to put in some barrels and a portable storage interface. In fact, I could probably get away with making those all a block higher. Hide all this like that, get some more chains on. And then if we do that and that, yeah, this is gonna look pretty cool going around, I think. Let's quickly get this third one in. Right, that should do it. So let's get all this glued together. Think I've got it all. Let's try it out. Well, it assembled. That's a good sign. Does the whole train move? It does. Oh, this is going to look wonderful. So let's just relocate this over here. And let's have a quick look at how much we need to dig out in the tunnel. So probably about another 2 blocks. That's fine. Guess I'd better get digging. Well, it doesn't look very nice. And to be honest, it doesn't actually look that much different. But I assure you, there's definitely enough height for the train now. And I've also dug out a big area over here, which we can use as a loading area. So when it comes to the loading area here, there's quite a few things to consider. Because what we want to make sure is happening is that the things that we need are being pulled off of here. So if, for example, we're full up on sand down the bottom there and we're not using sand in our other factories, we don't need to keep taking sand down there. The question is, how are we going to do that? Well, I think I have an idea. I'm just hoping it's going to work. So the first thing I need to do is to get some storage interfaces in. And I think they are there. Oh, no, wait a minute. Aren't they facing the other way? Yes, they are. And I'm going to kind of need them facing that way down the bottom. So maybe what I should do is actually something a bit more like this. And then I can hide that again. Now, if I quickly assemble the train, that should hook up. Yeah, look at that. Perfect. So we'll just do the same thing on this one. But I've run out of storage interfaces, so let's go make a couple more. But my thinking is, if we have stuff being pulled out of these 5 different vaults, we'll feed it into a temporary vault here, and then from here, we'll just have it feeding into both of these, which will load up the train. In fact, I'm probably going to make that vault even smaller, because we don't want too much backlog in there. And we'll have all 5 of these vaults feeding at the same time into here, and then that will get split into these 2. What we'll then do is down the bottom, if the storage vaults are full of cobble, for example, on both the normal warehouse and the one where it gets sent off elsewhere, we'll send up a redstone signal and just turn off the funnel that releases cobble. Because the last thing we want is this train to keep picking up cobble when it can't drop it off, because then that's the only thing it's going to have in it, and that's just not going to be useful to anyone, really, is it? Let's be honest. And the only other way around that will be to make an individual carriage for each one of the resources, but I don't really want to do that because we're not going to be able to fit it in the warehouse down the bottom. So yeah, although I've probably not explained it very well, I do have a plan and I hope it's going to work. But I guess there's only one way to find out, so let's go get some more portable storage interfaces and see if we can get this system working. And after a bit of messing around, I think I've managed to do it, but I've hidden it all underneath because it's very, very messy. So if we go down here and have a look, we've got a vault here that everything's getting fed into from the other vaults we've got at the top there. So we've got all 5 vaults feeding into this 2x2 by 2, and then everything's getting pulled back out again and fed into the trains. So this is good. The train is now full, but as you can see, it's not particularly well balanced. I mean, we've only got 256 cobble in there, but we've got 3,200 limestone. But this is where the trickery comes in. I mean, I say trickery, I don't know what you'd call it. Probably just redstone links, to be honest with you. But what I need to do now is build somewhere down here where everything can get offloaded. So, well, I guess bringing the train down would have been a good start, wouldn't it? So this is where the train's going to pull in, but I think I want to do some experiments. And for those experiments, we're going to jump into a creative flat world because I want to test a few things out. And these tests are going to revolve around vaults, drawers, and what we can do with threshold switches and smart observers, because I've not really used these before, and I wonder if these are going to be more useful for what I'm trying to do. But my very first question is, can these things even read drawers? It looks like they can. So if I was to put a whole bunch of deep slate in there, yeah, okay, so they can read drawers. That's good. Next question, what does a smart observer do? Maybe I should ponder this one. Okay, so basically this can just look for specific blocks, it kind of checks stuff. I don't think this is what we need. So that means we are going to be using the threshold switches, and now I want to test the filters on these. So if we put pearlescent frog lights on there and verdant ones on there. Wait a minute, that's a smart observer. Let's try that again, and we'll put the correct filters on there and there, and we'll just dump a bunch of these into the vaults. We'll just chuck them in the chute directly, that should do the trick. And what these are doing is only counting the specific blocks towards the total, so this will only currently switch if this is 75% full of these pearlescent frog lights. And currently, there are none in there, so it's not showing. Whereas the verdant ones, we can see it started to fill up a little bit. But yeah, once again, I don't think that's really going to help us. I think we're going to have to use drawers. Because what I don't want to happen is to have a big shared vault and have the entire thing fill up with one particular resource and then not leave space for anything else. Whereas if we just offload our train with belts and then use arms or something else, it doesn't really matter. But if we just load up drawers directly, then we can take a threshold reading of each drawer and then send a redstone signal all the way back up to the top, which brings us to another problem. Redstone links only have a range of 64 blocks, usually. But as this is my perfect world, in my perfect world, redstone links can go a lot further than that. So what we're going to do, I'm going to test it here first. We can just go into the mods, we can search for create, and it's probably in gameplay settings. Logistics would make sense. And we can set the link range in here to anything we want. So if we would set it to 400, for example, and then save that, we can now have a redstone link that goes over 400 blocks. And we can set that to whatever we like to make our systems work. And I think I will. So I think we have a solution that's going to work without backing up all the systems. Now I've just got to go back to the real world and build it. So back over here in the real world, the other thing I'd need to consider, which has only just occurred to me, is that these are just the goods that are coming from one factory. Apparently I can't stand on that. Oh, that's non-solid. Okay, we'll stand here instead. But what I need to consider is, yes, we've got our little mini warehouse there, which is bringing stuff down to here, but there's going to be a whole other bunch of factories, which means we're going to end up with multiple monorails running on this line. But it looks like we can use train signals on them, so that shouldn't be a problem. We can prevent some crashes. But that is making me rethink the layout down here just a little bit. This really is starting to get quite complicated in my tiny brain here. So I'm going to spend a bit of time just messing around. You're probably going to see some random clips of me placing blocks and things. And when I come back, hopefully, I'll be able to explain what's actually going on, because I can't really talk you through what I'm doing when I don't actually know what I'm doing. And over an hour later, I have indeed come up with a plan, and it seems to be working. So what we have here is a couple of storage interfaces that are hooked up to a depot, and then these mechanical arms grab the things off the depots and put them all in here. This goes into a storage controller, or a drawer controller as it's actually known, and that's hooked up to these drawers on the wall here, which are going to be sorting out all the different things. Of course, we can expand this as we need, but for now, this is just fine. I've then got threshold switches that read each one of these drawers, and on the back of them we have a redstone link, and we've increased the range on them so that they can link to these ones here, and when these go off they will actually lock these funnels and stop sand from coming out. So once there's loads of sand down there, it will stop going into the train, but the other things will still carry on. And in theory, that should work and mean we've always got what we need where we need it. But until we leave it running for a while, I guess we're not really going to know. So I just need to get myself a train driver in there and set up a schedule to go back and forth, and that will get these boxes here loaded up. This is good. And in regards to getting resources over to the other factory, I think I'm actually better off taking them from the spot up there than I am from taking them down here. So I'm probably actually going to remove this whole track here, just like that, and we'll figure out what to do with that later. When we build new factories, we'll probably just connect to the monorail at the top and take it directly from that station. I think it's just going to work a bit better. And that also means we'll be able to leave this track open a little bit for bringing stuff down from that factory into here. But who knows what's going to happen? Stuff's probably going to change as we go. Now, let's go find ourselves a pilot. And I'm hoping that I can find a fly or a chicken, because they're quite small and they should fit in there quite nicely. But annoyingly, my jetpack has completely run out of fuel, so it's kind of difficult to get around. Well, I see a pig up there. He might be small enough. Come along, Piggo. Nope, scrap that. There's the fly. Come here, you. Sorry, Piggo. So let's put him in there. And it doesn't look like I have any schedules. Dang it. But I also need to refill my jetpack anyway, so I guess we're taking a trip home. So I've filled up my jetpack. I've got myself a train schedule. Let's set something for this little dude. Now let's create this schedule. Hopefully, I should send it on its way. That looks well cool. Love it. And we'll just wait a moment, but that should come back fairly quickly, I'd imagine. Oh, it's saying it can't get to this station, and I think I know why. Have I got it facing? Yep, I've got it facing the wrong direction. There we go, navigation succeeded. So it should be on its way back down now. Here we go. Although it's stopped there, so I guess that means... Probably should have thought about this a bit more, but we probably need to put this about there. There we go, now the arms are doing their thing. Oh, this one isn't. Maybe I've not connected him up correctly. There we go. And that should now just keep going backwards and forwards. We just have a lot of other work to do to make everything look nice. Everything around here is looking very, very messy at the moment. So I guess we should fix up this tunnel, fix up this building, and fix up the station inside the warehouse. Crack on that music, Beardy. And for now, I think that's about as far as we can take it. So I've got the monorail tunnel entrance sorted out here now, and the tunnel itself is looking pretty good. I mean, it's fairly basic. We've just sort of carried on the theme that we had going on at the top there. We've also swapped the driver out to a pig just because it looks better. And at the top here, the station's looking a little bit nicer as well, but I haven't finished off this side here. This is quite likely we're going to have other sort of monorails coming in this way and heading out that way. So I haven't gone for too much detail, but it does look a lot better than it did. In regards to the warehouse, I've cleaned up the area. I've built a new cliff alongside here. This bit was already here, but I've just kind of extended it. And on this side, I've just walled it in so that when we put buildings up here, it should all look quite nice. But besides that, you may notice it's actually lacking quite a bit of, whoa, easy now. But you may notice it's lacking quite a bit of detail. And it has occurred to me, I don't really know how a lot of this stuff here is going to work once we get everything underneath. And with that in mind, I didn't want to put in loads of effort making these warehouses look lovely, only to have to destroy them next episode. And the final step to complete phase 1 of this area is going to be to actually get a freight train in. So we're going to have something coming in under here. It's going to go through the mountain, and then we're going to have a nice sort of freight train collection area underneath. And depending on how that ends up getting laid out, that's going to sort of change what's going on up here. And what is going on there? Okay, that was weird. Must have been a graphical glitch. It disappeared as soon as I landed. But either way, I'm pleased with how this is working, even if it does look a little bit shabby in here right now. But sadly, that's all we've got time for today, so I hope you've enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye now.